All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the TI9 North American Qualifiers as we are hitting day number 2. At the end of today, we will know the 4 teams that are advancing on to the playoff stage, where then they'll play in a best-of-3 double elimination format, all the way to a best-of-5 grand finals, where then the winner will go to TI9 and competing for that insane prize pool that is to be. Super pumped to be here. We're going to have 5 games of casting on the docket for today at least. Then who knows with tiebreakers? Some crazy stuff can happen. There is a 3-way tiebreaker currently being played on the European region, of course. And it's possible. I mean, anything can happen, especially in these best-of-1 group stages. Point is, we'll see. We at least have 5 games. And once again, super pumped to be here. I am BreakyCPK, joined by Elevated as your co-caster. Elevated, what's up, man?
More TI9 qualifier action, and yeah, the tiebreakers seems to be the theme so far. There's tiebreakers in China, there's tiebreakers in Europe. Why not have some tiebreakers here in North America as well?
I wasn't aware of that. So in China, even, they actually had some tiebreakers, did they? Okay.
Yep, 3-way.
Jeez, yeah, Europe currently going through that themselves, and then again, it's absolutely very possible here, because like I said, why not? So we got 2 teams going at it. Old Suck Gaming taking on Complexity here, obviously now this one-game series, and really it's focusing on Complexity. They're a team that right now is they need to win out. I mean, they're 1-3 coming into this match. They went 1-3 yesterday, a very disappointing first day. If they lose one more, they're pretty much going to be out of it as far as finishing top 4. So they certainly have to be feeling the pressure. Old Suck Gaming, by the way, 0-4. They too need to win out, and then even then, it is not the most likely. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they randomly forfeited one of their games yesterday. After losing the first 3, one of their players just left. So it appears that he is back instead of forfeiting the rest of the tournament. So that's good. We actually get to see some Dota, but perhaps a little bit shaky in terms of morale on the side of them.
That is very fair to bring up. All right, there's plenty of draft. Let's start talking about seeing what we have here. We got the Silencer coming out for Old Suck Gaming. That's really interesting. Silencer Sand King. You had the Omni Knight Sven opening, and then we had a Lion and now a Leshrac for Complexity after the Morphling and Timbersaw came out for Old Suck Gaming. So we already got 4 heroes on either side, but, I mean, Silencer, for me, has to be the one standout so far in this draft currently.
Yeah, first phase Silencer. That's not something that we've seen very much of. I don't know really what the general consensus is on the hero. I would assume it's probably not that high. I think even as an Enigma counter, people are kind of low on Silencer. But yeah, I don't know what to say about that, because it's not obviously. It doesn't counter anything if you're picking it first, and they haven't picked up like an Enigma or something to combo with it yet, and it doesn't seem like they have a space for an Enigma in their lineup. Mm-hmm. Although I guess they could run it as a 4, but pretty strange draft so far.
It could have been a deterrent, yeah, I suppose, but I mean, against Omni Knight, it's not horrible. It's okay, but yeah, no, we're sitting here trying to grasp at straws, trying to give reason to it, but frankly, it doesn't feel like a hero that you would expect to see picked up in this spot, and perhaps Old Suck Gaming just has found it comfortable and somewhat of a curveball here. There's a best set of 1, throw the other team off guard. Certainly a strategy. I will say Silencer has been played 19 times throughout these qualifiers, so it's not like he's a very rare hero. Has been seen, but as we're pointing out, it usually is in response to something like an Enigma or later on if it just makes sense for the team fight. But hey, they have a game plan. They're sticking to it. Maybe that's their theme going into this. They're just going to do what they want to do.
Yeah, go for it, man. On the other side, though, we've got some very standard stuff. We've got Sven, Omni Knight. Both heroes are extremely popular with good reason. Omni Knight is really, really rapidly climbing the ranks as top-tier offlaners. He just provides everything you really want out of an offlaner, which is just a tanky frontline boy that can save your carry, save your mid, and provides a lot of pressure in the lanes as well against most of the melee matchups that he finds himself in.
Ooh, very interesting lineup here for Complexity. So they 4th picked the Leshrac, and you're thinking, okay, maybe that's going to be their supporting cast, but they throw things off a little bit with the final pick Rubik, so instead it's going to be a mid Leshrac in the hands of Limp. They're going to give Z-Freak Rubik unless they want to run a mid Rubik, which we've certainly seen before too. But I would lean towards a Leshrac mid right now.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be more of Limp's style of hero, Leshrac. Super good in the mid lane. It is one of those heroes that if you have a good Leshrac player, you can absolutely dominate games. Quite good against Timbersaw. You know, there's a huge amount of lockdown from the side of Complexity, and that could spell disaster for Timbersaw. Actually, all of these heroes, Morphling, Timbersaw, Storm Spirit, Sand King, you know, typically slippery. They're definitely going to have their hands full staying out of the clutches of Complexity.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that because they final pick a Storm Spirit, which, again, you have a 10th pick Storm Spirit, it's like, oh, this must be a great Storm Spirit game. You know, he's not going up against a lot of crowd control, ideally. It's not the case. You just pointed out they actually have some pretty solid lockdown when it comes down to their lineup, so I'm very intrigued by the Storm Spirit pickup. He does have protection with the Silencer, so perhaps that's something that they're going to be relying on, and that goes back to the very beginning of the draft. But yeah, there are some question marks for me when it comes to Ultimate Gaming's, where honestly Complexity, their opening, I love that opening. We didn't talk too much about that, but Sven Omni Knight specifically, you need a strength carry, in my opinion, with this Heavenly Grace and how it works right now. And Sven certainly is that strength carry. So I'm excited to see what Miracle can do on this hero, and who is setting up to have a pretty good game with what he's matched up against right here.
Yeah, other than the Timbersaw, he doesn't have a whole lot of pressure. And really interesting, the fact that Old Zuck Gaming is running the Sand King as a 4. It's almost exclusively been run as an offlaner for the last, 2 or 3 months. But, returning to its roots as a roaming 4, perhaps, it is really the only setup that Old Zuck Gaming has. So I'm definitely a little bit worried about this early game. I think that Complexity has the tools to really snowball heavily.
Mm-hmm. It's possible, but can they do it? Again, they're the ones that are certainly feeling a lot of pressure. I mean, Old Stock Gaming, of course, as we mentioned, they need to win out too. But let's be honest, this is a team that going into these qualifiers, they probably didn't sit back and think like, oh yeah, we're going to win it, we're going to TI. I mean, it's good to have that attitude, but realistically, the chances were very low. Complexity, on the other hand, this is a team that I'm going to admit it. I predicted them. The bias is real with me, and I don't think it's a stretch either.
No, not even a bias thing. I know that there are a lot of people that were rating them potentially as, top 2. I think most people probably had Forward as number 1, but Complexity was definitely in that conversation as a very viable candidate to qualify.
Well, again, they need to win out to feel very good about their chances moving on, and this is going to be a good start for them. First blood to be had. They're going to try to get it to Sven or maybe Leshrac. Okay, they let Limp take it in that mid-roll, and even some taunts, some tips coming out. Pretty much the same thing from Tava right there to start things off. So yeah, Complexity already feeling good about the early chances with that first blood, setting up for the Leshrac mid.
Yeah, I mean, that's the theme of their lineup, right? Just stuns on stuns on stuns. So if you get caught out of position, you're just toast.
So I just always love these emo spams and how they're different every single year.
Tavo's out of control. He's always been a huge troll.
Yeah, both the lobbies that we've had for Complexity, he just spams an Ursa emote in the lobby chat, and you just like sit back and you're just like, okay, this is happening. He's a fun guy. We'll say that. You mentioned Sand King playing that support role, is set up to be in the bottom lane right now for a tri-lane setup, protecting Bleak here on Morphling, playing with the Silencer. So interesting tri-lane to be had here. Going to be matched up against the Omni Knight, and Rubik is kind of in the area, but Z-Freak is actually TPing top now. So it is going to be 3 versus 1 on either side, it looks like.
Yeah, this is the opportunity to kill Timbersaws within this first, minute or 2 of the laning stage. So looks like they will be able to zone Chives. They're definitely going to look for this kill and not allow him to get any experience to start.
He hasn't leveled yet. Okay, there we go. He gets Whirling Death. That's interesting to me.
Here comes the Sand King, though.
Nice stun, and it might be enough. Nope, lifted back in. Another Whirling Death. Going to deter them, but it is not going to be enough. So 3 for 3, credit for the kill. Yeah, very intrigued by that decision to go Whirling Death. I don't know if that was to try to juke through the trees, or you'd figure either Reactive Armor or even the Timber Chain at level 1 to get away right there. Could have made more sense, but not the case.
Yeah, usually you use it to get some early CS,
Well, he leveled it when he was running away, though. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
That was odd. Well, he has it now, and like you said, it is good for CS, of course, when you're in the lane.
Yeah, that being said, like, if you level up Timber Chain to start the lane, you are basically just, like, committing Sudoku.
Yeah. If it got him away there, I mean, maybe okay, but yeah, you're right. It would have been a bold play for sure. He even comes over without reactive armor yet, remind you, and nice lift just over the ledge to force even more auto attacks in. He's probably dead, yeah. That's going to be another stun from 343 and another kill on a chive, so... Do we know which player? Not to call out, because you said that they did forfeit. I don't know what the deal was. Was it one of the players?
It was Ray Lalisa. He just stopped showing up after.
Oh. Interesting. Well, anyways, complexity up 3-0 now, as far as the start goes. And well, speaking of Ray in that mid lane, it's Leshrac at 13-6 versus the 9-2 Storm Spirit. How do we figure this matchup plays? Is this probably as expected early on, or?
Yeah, I mean, the Storm Spirit, he is losing in terms of range, and every time he goes up to use a Remnant on a creep to secure it, he's going to be potentially getting Split Earth. So it's definitely Leshrac favored.
Timbersaw toying with Lion or vice versa, but Timbersaw's still level 1, remind you, so he's
this is a disaster.
he is in a really troublesome spot. He's going to hide in the trees and survive for now. He's being protected by the Sand King. And he's
so close to that level 2. He really needs to start getting reactive armor, but I mean, this is really not a good situation for Chives. And one thing I did want to mention is that by bringing the Sand King up here to try and save the Timbersaw's lane, it also has allowed Tavo to just do whatever he wants in this bottom lane for the most part.
Yeah, his CS is okay, but more importantly, his levels are looking pretty good. I mean, you compare him, he's got at least a level over Timbersaw on the other side when it comes to experience. So yeah, finally level 2 for Timbersaw, gets reactive armor as expected, and can now feel a tad more comfortable in the lane. And kind of goes back to this supporting cast. You know, Rubik isn't necessarily the greatest lane bully in the game. I mean, Lion at the same time, he actually levels up Mana Drain with his second point, and he's going to use that to harass against this Timbersaw. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, take away his Monty, can't spam out his Whirling Death. I think Mondrain is an underrated ability. It's been buffed so many times.
It's really good, yeah. And now I feel like it is. Yeah, it used to be horrendous as far as the value of it. And it's like, it's one of those, you would even go stats over leveling up Mana Drain back when that was a thing. But no, it's they've changed it to the fact that it slows now and just it feels more potent. So yeah, the slowing aspect was actually a clever idea. Really, it gives it that crowd control capability.
Yeah, that was a massive change.
Let's play some Dota indeed as a pause comes out, but Limp, he's starting to snowball a little bit in this mid lane. 28-11 against the 15-3 Storm Spirit. Now he actually has a Arcane Rune bottled up. He doesn't have Diabolic Edict, so he is putting some pressure on the tower now, or will be shortly, but will not be able to pop W to assist, at least.
Yeah, that is a little bit interesting. I know that a lot of Leshracs are going for just Split Earth and Diabolic Edict maxing and completely ignoring the Lightning Storm. But that might be more of a support thing, actually, now that I think about it. And the Lightning Storm allows him to really pressure the Storm Spirit, so he does have to be in melee range, basically, to do anything.
Yeah. Great last hitting and great harassment. Curious what he goes for. This is one of these heroes that certainly can go many different directions. You know, a Yules is pretty good for a couple of reasons, but is there a direction you think you'd expect to see from Leshrac?
Probably the early Atos. It's extremely good against all 4 heroes other than the Silencer, which locks down their ability to be slippery. I would imagine that's probably what he goes.
All right, we'll see. My apologies, by the way. My overlay was still up. Luckily, it wasn't blocking too many things there, but switch now. We should be good.
Use your imagination, chat.
Just
manifest what you want to see.
You see Team Anti-Mage from Europe, they actually have a picture of Anti-Mage. Like it makes it look like they have a 6th hero.
Yeah, and I believe that the EU hub JJ went as far as to add. He like cloned the bottom net worth hero on their team, so they actually showed Anti-Mage's net worth below the
Did they really? That's hilarious. That's such a troll. All right, well, yeah, Cinderin's squad is involved in that tiebreaker. We're in the European region, as we're mentioning there. They're currently. So, what are the 3 teams? Because I know Hippomaniacs and TFT are moving on. Okay, it's Aiken City Esports and Chaos Esports joining Anti-Mage as the tiebreakers. So 2 of those teams will advance on with the others. Yeah, Hippomaniacs. That's another one of those teams that they've been kind of under the radar. It reminds me a little bit of Zalotto to an extent, where it's like they've been together for a while. I've gotten the chance to cast them in these tier 2, tier 3 events, whatever you want to call them, online events occasionally. They're impressive, and I love seeing that, how when a team sticks together for so long that it starts to show in such an event. I mean, who would have thought Hippomaniacs would be the number 1 seed going into the playoffs in the European region?
Seriously. I mean, the EU qualifier was definitely the most wide open out of all of them, just because of how many EU teams qualified through the DPC points. But definitely, I don't think, gun to my head, I probably would have never picked Hippomaniacs. But it is cool, and they all are Czech, it looks like. So another one of these sort of homies from one region or one country all playing together.
Yeah, it goes back to, again, Zalotto and playing from Mexico for the most part there now, and the Czech Republic in Hippomaniac's case. So obviously still work to be done, but it's cool to see that nonetheless. See how that all plays out, but we got the North American region to worry about ourselves. That's right now Complexity versus Old School, or not Old School, I see OS, Old Suck Gaming. Currently, J-Storm is also playing Kookaburra. That's another really good one. Forward Gaming, by the way, has already qualified for the playoffs, as they are 5-0 currently from day 1. So they only play a couple more games today, but of course, worst case, they can be 5-2 and still advance on. So they're going top 4.
They looked really good.
No surprises there. Who will be the other 3 to join them? That's what we're trying to find out today. By the end of it, as now we jump back into the game, and you just see right here, Ray in the mid lane, man, there's not much he can do right now. He's got some, oh no, that's Leshrac. Yeah, he doesn't have bottle charges currently, so being bodied quite a bit. Top lane, 3-4-3 is going to fall. So Timbersaw and Sand King managed to get a kill on one of the supports. That's the first kill of the game for OSG.
Yeah, Lip making a nice rotation up here for the bounty runes. Gonna contest, potentially find a kill. Versatis just runs into it.
Yeah, he's trying to get away now. Sandstorm activated by Leshrac, looking to cut him off. Splitter's gonna miss. Good job with the juke right there, as he's hiding in the Sandstorm, and Limp does not want to waste any more time. He's gonna TP back to the mid lane. He needs to get back to farming, as he will get a counter ward as well from his buddy. In that line, back to the top lane, Sand King was eventually found and hunted down by Z-Freak. So the Sandstorm only kept him alive a little bit longer.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how long Complexity... well, I guess it looks like that line's just going to start to harass the Storm Spirit more. I was going to say, I think it's about time that they break up this tri-lane in the top lane. Level 3 on Timbersaw means it's a little bit harder to kill him.
Yeah.
Probably not even worth it to shut him down anymore at this point.
Oh, mid lane, Leshrac. That's a Sand King, and he is going to fall. So Sand King resurrects, come to the mid lane, figuring he's going to soak up some experience. He's only level 3, and Limp has other ideas. He says, thank you very much for my experience. Gets a solo kill out of it. And that's the last thing you want to be doing, is as a support, giving up a solo kill to the mid carry.
Yeah, definitely. And, this is what happens when you have a rough matchup, and then those early kills top, you've got supports all over the place. You're allowing Limp to just kind of do whatever he wants, and Tavo happily just farming away under tower at this point.
Versatis, once again in a troublesome spot, going to be sheeped up. The Split Earth is going to miss, however. Doesn't even matter. It doesn't look like it, or maybe. Oh, yeah, missing the Split Earth actually misses the kill. So good job by Sand King there, and more so Limp with a slight off in his angle. However, they will get the tower kill and feel pretty good. You know, we really haven't talked much about the bottom lane, though. One positive for OSG somewhat is Bleak here on Morphling. He's doing pretty solid. He's Got the triple Wraith Band. He's 36 and 21 CS. Almost level 6. So Morphling certainly going to be the go-to factor for this Radiant side.
Yeah, he does have a ton of really good morph targets. I mean, whether you grab the Omni Knight for Heavenly Grace or you pick up any of the multitude of stuns, lots of things that this Morphling can play around with.
Got that top lane, just simply Limp rotating in, and they just go, go, go on the Timbersaw, lock him down. Stress that with this complexity draft, it's already showing. The crowd control and the follow-ups certainly is there, so this is going to be a troublesome game in terms of that movement. As Lion, he's going to counter where the center that was just put down. It might come to cost, though, and certainly will, in fact, so they make him pay for that, but get some regen and come back. And you mentioned Morphling, a couple of morph targets. He actually morphs into the Omni Knight early on and is using his abilities against him to keep himself sustained in the lane.
Yeah, this hero is... Did you see the Earthshaker strategy that was it Jin Espris was running, the gunner team?
Did he have an Ags?
Yeah, so they specifically picked it so
yeah. Tavo? He's probably dead. Certainly is dead, in fact. Good rotation from Storm Spirit. But yeah, I've seen some quirky stuff with that, so the Earthshaker one certainly makes... Anyone that has a basic ability with an Ags effect is obviously potential for being really good. There was one, what was it? Dark Willow that I saw earlier on after that change. Oh my god.
With the Morphling attack speed too, you just pump out so much damage.
And they can't really attack you. Like it's ridiculous. So yeah, that's the craziest one I've seen so far.
Yeah, this Earthshaker one, I mean, because it increases the range as well. So he was, like a blink and a half range, and then he gets like 800 extra damage every single time he uses it on like a 4-second cooldown. Pretty broken.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah. No, Ags on Morphling is certainly potentially a powerful item. Again, it depends on the matchups, and you look at this game specifically. I suppose it's not really too. I mean, he could get the ally war and go into the Sand King and take advantage of the longer range burrow strikes. It's not, not like the others.
Be pretty nuts, but probably not the highest priority for sure.
Yeah.
E-Blade, I would expect. Man, E-Blade is good against the Sven, but bad against Leshrac. Bad against the Lion. Maybe you just go for stats. You just go, like Manta Scotty, Satanic, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be stats for sure. I was thinking that too. He is gonna see Rubik. He actually lets him know that he sees him, and he waveforms in. Zephyr getting bursted. However, he's got backup. The heal coming in, but Bleak still wants to kill. Sand King picked off to the left, and suddenly Morphling realizing that he is just by himself. So trying to assist on the 10-minute bounty runes, unable to do so, and both the bottom one's gonna be picked up by Complexity, but Chives manages to get the top one, and currently on the Radiant side, it is still gonna just stay there for now, but should eventually go to the Radiant. Storm Spirit TP's in, and they're going to find a kill on line most likely. Oh, needs another auto attack. Needs some more mana. Will make it happen eventually, though.
Yeah, Timbersaw starting to recover a bit, but he's kind of missed his timing. Sven has already left the lane. It's not like he's really being pressured by this Timber. And I think Complexity is pretty happy to let this Timbersaw just be alone in the top lane.
Limp is rotating the level 2 Diabolic Edict, but still plenty of damage to push this tower in and get an answer in terms of what he's thinking about early on, at least, going to heals. You see Omni Knight trying to finish in Arcane Boots, to go with the Soul Ring, so certainly playing utility himself. Just to apply that Heavenly Grace and let Leshrac be the pressure. Complexity thinks that they're trying to defend this, but that's not the case. Clearly, it's going to be a free tower kill for Complexity. But Sven, by the way, already has his hand of Midas. Now 1,300 gold saved up. So Miracle, as expected with this landing phase, he is off to a great start.
Yep, that's what happens when you have two supports, making your life simple. Top lane, though, Rubik.
And one of those supports finds himself trapped between 3 heroes, and Zephyr cannot get away, so good find from the Radiant. I will say OSG has done a good job of making use of the Storm Spirit, despite the lack of the good start early on in the laning phase. He's doing what a Storm can as far as moving around and getting some kills.
Yeah, he's definitely not farming as well as he might like, but he's trying to make up for that with pickoffs all over the place. And picking off Limp here would be a really big kill.
Man, Tavo had a chance to try to heal him up there, but the silence lasting just a little bit too long made him uncomfortable, and ultimately having to walk away. But there's that global silence coming into play. The first one we've seen, and it certainly gets
Tavo.
that kill, and Tavo's probably dead.
Sorceries
Heavenly Grace saving him for now, but no, Whirling Death runs over, and yeah, Tavo just got extra greedy there. He did not expect that many numbers.
Yeah, just like that, this Sand King is starting to have some impact. He's got 4 points in Burrow Strike. He's able to initiate from pretty far away, setting up for his team, despite them not having a whole lot of other initiation. And like you said, that global silence definitely does allow the Storm Spirit to do whatever he wants for the first few seconds of the fight, which could be extremely strong.
Silencer doesn't have his last word yet. He is leveling up, of course, maxed out the Arcane Curse first, as 2 points in Glaives of Wisdom. Not a Silencer expert by any means, but I do find that a little intriguing. And yeah, he's going to go third point in Glaives. I mean, I guess he just assumed or figures that last word isn't necessarily that strong. Also.
Yeah, that is really interesting to me, especially as a 5.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a ton of stolen intelligence. I'm not totally sure what the thought process is there. It feels like a value point in last word for the extra silence seems pretty good, but
yeah, and against heroes like Leshrac and Omni Knight, you'd figure that's actually a really good tool. But oh well. His loss, I guess. Sven picks up his Echo Saber, by the way, so the expected follow-up to the Hannah Midas, and Miracles just continues to be a farming machine. Remember, he's got the Heavenly Grace buff on top of this as well, so at level 4, that's going to be plus 28 strength and the 50 status resistance. That's also being applied, so they really can spike soon here as far as trying to make some plays.
yeah, and I think the one thing that could make the Sven's life a little bit difficult is the fact that there are so many escapes on the side of Old Stock Gaming. That being said, they do have a lot of lockdowns, so I think it's a pretty free Sven game as long as they can, you know, get the stuns chained correctly on heroes like Morphling and Storm Spirit.
Omni Knight got some pressure from Timbersaw, but with Silencer wrapping around, not going to be too concerned about what happens there. Just teams continue to be spread out for the most part right now and pick up farm where they can. So go back to Morphling, and he's doing his part. And we see
does have the queued up. Interesting.
After the Yasha, at least, even the Manta, if he continues to go for that. So yeah, you did make a good point. It's one of those. It's still a lot of burst, but as far as the defensive uses are really good against a hero like Leshrac. But Timbersaw, by the way, got caught by the Stormhammer, and the follow-up was there, including that God Strength, and it should be a nice transition into a Tier 2 tower.
Yep, God Strength still active, Heavenly Grace on top of that.
Jeez.
Limp has 4 points in Edict as well.
He hits so hard. Yeah, when he's plus 235 damage with God Strength, Heavenly Grace, just destroys that tower.
That's why Sven's so fun to play. You press R and you're just like, bring it on.
Yeah, again, especially with an Omni Knight. Feels so good. Rubik with the Aether Lens, using that to steal the Sandstorm. I don't know if you want to try to grab the Burrow Strike or not, but either way, Sandstorm not bad either.
It's the race to the Blink Dagger for these two position 4s. Who's going to get there first? Probably the Sand King, but with Sandstorm stolen, maybe Rubik has a shot.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe he did want the Sandstorm. For the farming purposes, he's continuing to go at it up here. Leshrac running around. He's got bots queued up, so he has Arcane Boots. Well, Limp wants a shoe for each foot. Well, he has 4 feet technically, so.
Yeah, he's going to need to visit, you know, a couple more Foot Lockers or wherever he shops at for Disco Pony.
Those dancing shoes. What is Timbersaw going for? Okay. Well, he's got a couple of ideas here. He's thinking of Blade Mail even later on. That'd be interesting.
Really good against Leshrac for sure. So he's going to commit to that Bloodstone, though, I think.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. He got the Soul Booster. He had that queued up. But he didn't have the full Bloodstone queued up. So I don't know if this is like his transition and then eventually goes back to the Bloodstone. But even that seems kind of weird. Why not just get the full Bloodstone first?
Yeah, I think he'll finish the Bloodstone, most likely.
Well, Tavo's starting to just move with the Sven now, apply the Heavenly Grace, and almost like a Magnus style, make sure to keep the Empower buff up on your carry and let him do his thing. So they're going to start working together as a team, push the top lane. That's a very,
ruin, though.
Yeah, that's a very aggressive TP. They get a Global Silence out of this, so perhaps this is a plan. It's going to not be the longest. Wearing off in Neff's a second now as a lockdown on Rubik. He just exploded there. Great Sand King's done as well. On 2, 3-4-3 is caught. He's dead. Tavo healing himself. Does not have Guardian Angel yet. Very interesting. Can't save himself either. So 3 heroes are dead on the side of Complexity. And that initial Global Silence, it actually set all that up and very well played.
Yeah, the Silencer pick is allowing them to really start taking these fights in this mid game. Perhaps much earlier than they would otherwise, since there are no dispels in Complexity. It's really equalizing the fact that they have so much disable, just because they completely eliminate it until Storm Spirit and Morphling have been able to pick off the supports.
Dire's structures are fortified.
And Morphling putting some pressure into that top tower as we have a disconnect from Sand King. Game pausing as a result, but Merkel also about to pick up a double damage rune on his way to heading towards the top lane. One of Complexity may try to catch them. He does have that Blink Dagger, and now with a double damage rune spawning in front of him. And granted, he doesn't have a God Strength ready. And I don't think they have vision of them necessarily. All I see is Silencer over here. I wouldn't be surprised if they try.
Yeah, there is no Global Silence, so it is a decent time to take a fight, but likely this will be a farming double damage, dealing the enemy Ancients and just continuing to accelerate. Going for the S and Y next, going to be a little bit interesting. I think generally you see like the blink into BKB, or you see no blink with S and Y. So,
well, I think this is the Omni Knight factor, as he is going to catch up to Silencer, and sure enough, cut him down with the assistance of Lion. But yeah, with the status resistance from Heavenly Grace on top of the Saint Geniasha, it's like, why do you even need a BKB at that point?
Well, yeah, I'm just saying that generally speaking, people go for either the blink build and go for kind of like a initiated burst, or they go for just like super fast run-in Sven.
Sure.
And they skip the blink entirely. So I suppose there is so much escape that maybe the blink is necessary this game.
Yeah, that's fair. And without a blink on him, their initiation isn't necessarily the strongest. They got a Rubik who's trying to finish a blink, but even that, it's like, Rubik's not that great of an initiator, right? So, yeah, I think it comes together nicely for Complexity. As Leshrac, he doesn't look into the bots, he actually just takes away his mana boots, and he's looking to build a BKB next, so he's just going to sit on the energy booster for now.
Eventual Bloodstone, most likely. Kind of an interesting build path that he's going. I'm not a Leshrac player, but the ability to stop the Morphling and the Storm Spirit from split pushing is super valuable.
Yeah, perhaps that's the biggest reason why. Like you said, that's certainly going to be a factor for Old Sock Gaming. Yeah, Storm Spirits almost finished the Orchid. As the
comes the Epi.
Oh, Epicenter channel going up on a Sven. The tough target. Not the greatest follow-up. Eventually Storm Spirit comes in. There's a Global Silence. Sven got his war cry off, though. And a great Yules as well to assist. And now the Dire team, they may look to respond. Storm Spirit goes back in, and Storm Spirit's dead. Lifted up and thrown back in, I should say. He gets taken out. Sand King explodes as well, caught by a limp. And Complexity thinking about Roshan, or no, maybe not. They're going to push tier 2 mid, at least for the time being. But you just see with the reset there by Complexity and what they were able to do.
Yeah, there's a little bit lack of communication, it looked like, from Old Suck. They weren't really focusing any particular hero, trying to get all of them at the same time. That's just never going to work.
Omni Knight still has yet to use Guardian Angel. I mentioned earlier he actually didn't even have it at the top fight. He does have it leveled up now, but no point to use it there, of course. Also has his mech and is working towards a Guardian Greaves. I was going to mention that, how that feels like that's going to be a very important item for somebody like Omni Knight, of course, with the Global Silence.
Yep. Yeah, the Guardian Angel is a pretty useless ability until late game against the Morphling. when you actually think about it. They're basically 100% magic damage for the first 30 minutes of this game.
That's fair, yeah. So Complexity, they transition those kills into a tower kill at least, and a little bit of map control. Again, they were thinking about Roshan, it felt like, but ultimately making that call instead. And now going for a bit of a reset as an S and Y finished on Sven as well. So he had the Yasha before, but now he has the full S and Y, so does commit to that. And EQ's up a Daedalus right after, so he's going to be thinking all damage from here on out, as he should be.
Yeah, why not? Got attack speed, he's got move speed. I mean, when he presses phase boots in Warcry, he's hasted. Whenever he wants to be, he's hasted.
Feels pretty good. Gonna Warcry right here, buff the team up as he continues to farm mid. And the Radiant team, oh, they're gonna compete for this haste rune. They do catch Leshrac going for it. Limp yields on up. Lion says, I gotta get out of here. And Limp is picked off. He's out for 50 seconds, so good steal by Sand King. And then leading into the turn kill on a Leshrac.
Yeah, that is the one downside to going this build on Leshrac of those early bots with only a Yules. You're just super squishy until you finish both the BKB and potentially even the Bloodthorn, or the Bloodstone, rather.
Mid lane, Sven, oh man, he just jumps Silencer, and 2 hits later just gets dropped. He actually has the Chrysalis now, so you can see the crit coming out, and Sand King, probably the same story. Yeah, a couple of hits later, and that's a double kill for Sven. It feels so good to be Sven right now. Plus 420 damage, yo.
Dank.
So dank. Into the Roshan. Should be a free Roshan kill at this point with 2 dead, especially Sand King. No initiation, really. They're going to scan it, but I can't fathom them trying to defend this. They might have Storm Spirit go for a ninja, I suppose, but...
Just thinking about it.
He flies on by. Yeah, he teleported out, though. And that's an Aegis for Mr. Limp now.
He's going to get caught out.
Yeah, Timbersaw. It's caught by Sven, but with the Blade Mail, it's not going to matter. So he does end up going the Blade Mail, sitting on the Soul Booster.
Yeah, now he keeps up a Lotus Orb. Is he really just going to have a casual Soul Booster in his inventory?
That seems like a horrible use of money. Like,
yeah, I don't understand.
What you get out of that, yeah, it really is not efficient. Yeah, must have had a change of heart, I suppose. Oh.
Picks up another arcade. I'm so confused by this build.
Who knows? Just continue to keep an eye on it from Mr. Chives. On this Timbersaw has his own ideas as what's one accomplished. I mean, again, you mentioned the Blade Mail. It's theory actually a pretty good item against somebody like a Leshrac. It's just the way he's going about ultimately his item build is the interesting part. Put it that way.
Yeah, Lesh does have a BKB already though, so Blade Mail not gonna do a whole lot.
He's also gonna push out bottom lane for now, as it's getting pressure by the creep wave, so he'll be there to clear it out. And whoever was there is no longer. I think Morphling makes his way to the top lane. Is committing towards the Ethereal Blade, so did go the Manta style first. Mentioned the idea of maybe that into like the Eye of Sky, the whole stat build, but he's going somewhat of an in-between. Manta into the Ethereal Blade.
Yeah, I mean, E-Blaze, it's always good. Yeah, it's always good against Sven. It is just a little worrying against the line. Uh-oh, Morphling.
In trouble, Global Silence. Will help save him. So you see right there also the Ghost Scepter helping a little bit too. But that's a Global Silence down.
Yeah, probably worth it though, because he walked right into 4 smoked heroes, and he was absolutely dead. So, not going to lose a bunch of money. Will finish up that E-Blade relatively soon.
But now Complexity, with that knowledge, you're guaranteed they're going to put their foot on the throttle. They have an Aegis as well, so in fact, Limp is just running at the Radiant Heroes, trying to catch somebody. He catches up to Sand King. Split Earth hits as he's stunned, so technically both get stunned, and Sand King cut down by the Chakram stolen from Rubik. And who else did they catch? They also catch the Silencer. Still hanging around, trying to be sneaky, so that's 2 dead. They do have buybacks, but keep going back to it. Without Global Silence, this is one of the reasons why Silencer is just not the greatest hero, it feels like. Is so big. It's all in on that one big ability. But as I say, this Sand King is going to buy back. However, Timbersaw, it doesn't matter. He buys back immediately. But do they have the fighting power? I mean, they have an epicenter. I want to channel this up. Chakram's going to scare them out for now. But Complexity, still feeling pretty cozy. Tava throws out a heal. And Cole is just going to reset.
Yep, 2 buybacks. The gold lead continues to climb. 13K now for Complexity. And Old Suck just kind of getting caught a little bit lazy in their rotations. They're not very crisp in terms of leaving heroes behind and just kind of standing in dangerous spots. Complexity are going to punish them for that. And this courier is definitely going to die. Oh, they pinged it out.
Sneaking around. It's going to be fine. It picks up the Eagle Song. Coming back. So Morphling will have the Ethereal Blade. Now he does not have a buyback. So that's the dangerous part, but wanted to finish the item in full.
Miracle's so farmed. Oh my lord.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, he has a Satanic queued up now, so he really is going all in on that status resistance. But here we go, Storm Spirit. He flies in so aggressive. Global Science, it does come out. Storm Spirit gets really low, though, but they get the kill on Tavo. That's a big start. However, he buys back, and Storm Spirit explodes as soon as they get that kill themselves. Timbersaw, he's locked down as well by Lion, and so is Morphling caught initially with a finger of death. He morphs back in, but it doesn't matter. Even with that extra life, he still goes down. And just as mentioned, he does not have a buyback. He's out for a full minute. Chives is going to be run down by Sven and the rest of them. Limp trying to cut off his angles. Eventually set this up, and Miracle indeed is wicked sick for Complexity. So OSG getting desperate. You can feel it. They've reached for that, and this is going to be more of that. I have no clue what that's doing. Got him. That's where you tip him.
I guess. I don't even know if that deserves a tip. That was bizarre. Yeah. But yeah, no buyback on the Timbersaw since he already bought back, and it's going to be at least 1 set of racks, probably 2. I don't really know. Although with the Aegis timing out, maybe Complexity will play it safe. But no Epi either, so.
Yeah, well now no Epi.
Storm Spirit just kind of feeding right now. Seems like they just don't really care.
Yeah, I think they realize it's over, and again, this mathematically does eliminate them as well. So with 4 losses, there was maybe a tiebreaker chance, but this will put them at 0-5, and again, there's no way a 2-5 record should be moving on at this point. So just kind of having fun with it. That's true.
Going ham.
Making plays. Morphs into Sven. But not going to be able to pursue. And yeah, even with the kill on Leshrac, Complexity, not really too bothered by that. And Sven is also, there you go. Satanic is not finished. So his stat, like, I want to see what it looks like when he actually takes a stun. Because it's not going to last. Like, oh, he didn't Storm Hammer. Damn. Pops Warcry. Morphling going for the kill on Omni-Knight, and they will find it. They're also going to find Lion, so SG does find a couple of kills running out of their base.
Speaking of getting a little bit sloppy with your rotations, Complexity just kind of standing around, not accomplishing a whole lot, under vision. They're going to get picked off. Old Suck say, you know, we're down, but we're not completely out. We're going to make your life a little bit more miserable.
So what quirky idea is Morphling going for? Because he is going Ags, and he just got that target ally's talent. So is he doing the Sand King?
Yeah, I would imagine so.
That would make sense.
Does give you a absolutely bonkers initiation range.
On a very low cooldown. That's going to put it at like 8-second cooldown or something like that. So that on top of waveform when you morph back into Morphling form. That's a very mobile Morphling.
8-second cooldown and 2,000 initiation range with the blink, with the stun.
Yeah, and obviously he with the waveform range as well for that too. So he's going to be jetting around like crazy. Jet ski of his. It's a case of it. It sounds fun, but is it too little, too late? I will say this about Complexity, and again, being a fan of this team, it just. They're a hard team to watch sometimes as far as closing out games, and you even look just as close as yesterday where they had so much of a lead against Beast Coast in their first game of the group stages, and they just could not close it out despite having such a lead, and they ended up losing it in the end. Not going to sit here and say that this is setting up to be the exact same thing, but it's never over until that shrine falls or they call GG, so.
Surely this game is unthrowable, Breaky. Look at this.
Don't say it.
Surely
Don't say
it's
it.
unthrowable.
No, don't say it. I mean, Sven, yeah, it's like I still want to see what it looks like when he gets stunned, because the status resistance is insane. They're going to just find Silencer, and he has a buyback at least, so I was going to say if he doesn't have a buyback, that could just be game, but he does. Roshan's up in 50, so I'm sure Complexity will look to finish that first. And then try to push to finish the game from there. Seems like the obvious game plan at this point, but that's a little more time for a couple more items to happen for OSG, including that Ags and Morphling. Again, we figure it's going to be him morphing into Sand King.
Yeah, Bleak is quietly having a really good game on this Morphling. He is nearing the Leshrac in terms of net worth, and that'll be a nice boost for them. Although, man, Sven is redonkulous.
You know, I just thought about too, though. He does have Storm Spirit, and the Vortex.
For the pull, yeah.
Yeah, an AOE pull could be interesting as well. Cooldown's a little bit longer, sure, but if that's what they feel is necessary, I suppose it could be another thing to look at. But I feel like you would still just want the Sand King, actually, because not having Ball Lightning, of course, makes that a bit less effective.
Yeah, I mean, you can waveform in, sure, but their follow-up for that pull is basically just Epicenter. That's about it.
Yeah. What does Silencer even do? I'm not even thinking of that. Anyways, they're going to initiate onto Rubik. Rubik's in trouble. That's a global silence. Tavo also gets picked off. So it's going to be 2 kills off the bat. He did morph into Sand King, by the way. That's what we see jumping around and starting that all off. Z-Freako stole the ball lightning. He's trying to get away the waveform, but another Bro Strike in 1 more second. Good blink away just at the last second. And he gets away. Chives does go down over here, though, and so does Silencer. So Complexity gets a couple of response kills.
Z-Freak just making so much space, and Bleak taking the bait, allowing his team to get flanked.
Oh my god.
Storm Spirit. Wow.
Yeah.
Lucky to not get crit there.
Yep. Any red number pops up, that's a kill. Certainly. But Morphling is going to keep morphing into the Sand King, now with that Ags. And going to go back for some regen currently. So we saw the glimpse of it right there. But yeah, if Complexity is there as a full team, then ideally a different story. But Roshan's up. It goes back to that point, that Complexity, no doubt, that's going to be their game plan. I'm sure they would prefer a kill to happen first, but they get an Arcane Rune on Limp, and Merkel is now in the pit, although not doing it. Seem a little unsure.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what they're worried about.
Well, they want to fight, and the fight they're going to get. Limp gets pulled in initially. Yules will stay in for now. You see Tava running it. Guardian Angel comes down. Limp pops a BKB, and now it's response time for Complexity. In the midst of it, Sand King is just hopping around as a fish thanks to Lion. Bleak's going to go forward with the waveform, morph back into the Sand King, and stun out. Silencer, the only one dead throughout all of this, but they catch the Morphling. Can he get out of this still? He's shifting into that strength. Isn't it tanky enough? The Ethereal Blade on himself, and the waveform into the Burrow Strike. He will be good. I mean, you just cannot catch up to that. So, despite all the lockdown, they can't take out the raid boss. And now Complexity again a reset. Do they actually commit to Roshan now?
There was a bunch of BKB charges used. Storm Spirit desperately needs his to be able to fight against all this disable. And it does look like Complexity will make the move for a rush. I don't really think that Old Suck has the tools to test right now.
Global Silence ready, but it's not going to matter as far as defending Roshan. It will matter in terms of defending their base, however. It's going to be the Aegis for Limp, and they're just going to leave the cheese for now. Tava will pick it up. So yeah, it's, of course, keeping him alive is important. Hell, you could even argue this game, getting like a blink on Tava wouldn't be a bad idea. Because clearly, again, this Radiant team is just going straight for him, as they should be in these fights.
Yeah, Greaves, probably enough survivability, but you definitely raise a good point. Maybe even a BKB.
Yeah, he's building Aether Lens. That'll help, certainly, keep himself a little more comfortable, but...
Aeon Disc, actually.
Oh, it is an Aeon. Okay, yeah. Looked like an Aether Lens at first, but no,
So-
Aeon Disc makes sense too.
Guaranteed to survive the initial burst and the global silence.
God Strength pop, Storm Spirit clearing out what he can.
Radiant structures
He did just
are
use all his
fortified.
mana. Has to go back now. Sand King, man, he's level 17, so still doesn't have his level 3 ultimate. Bleak just jumps in as Sand King. There is the epicenter. Global Silence on top of that. Do they have enough follow-up, though? Rubik gonna lift himself up the heels. Defense for now. He burrow strikes out with the steel, but the adaptive strike takes him out. So Bleak playing that pretty well. Rubik's out for 70 seconds. He is not coming back. And that's
And there's no
retreat
God
time. And
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely gonna chase here.
well, the Finger of Death on Sand King, they're going to kill Sand King, but is that really the biggest steal? 3-4-3 is going to get cut down as well from the Shock Room, and Complexity still trying to run. Tavo, he's now caught up to Guardian Greaves in 2 more seconds. It's not going to matter. He has a
Initiation range is
melting.
out of control.
Oh, man, Sven cannot get away. He's trying to. He has to man mode right here with the Satanic, but it's not enough. Complexity, they lose 4, and OSG, dare I say, they are not out of this game yet.
Surely this game is unthrowable, Breaky.
Don't say it. You're doing it. Oh, man. That's, Bleak is just, he is playing very well. I don't think we've stressed that even enough, even though you pointed out several times. He is actually, without the way he's playing, I mean, this is a game over so far at this point, but he is playing very smooth on this Morphling, and I certainly think this Ags into the morphing into Sand King was the absolutely correct choice.
It's absolutely nuts. I mean, if you take a fight as Complexity, you have to make sure that you win the fight because you cannot escape. There's actually no way for you to disengage against this lineup.
True. That's a very good point. Yeah, we saw the perfect example right there as they tried to run, but they could not get out. And that started with the heavy burst on Rubik. I mean, you have Omni Knight, it just doesn't matter. He can only heal so much, and there is a lot of burst the Radiant team puts out with that Ethereal Blade. And I say the Radiant team, but it is a lot on Morphling once again. With what he's able to put out. What do we have any level 25? Sven is the first level 25, by the way. And he did get the 40 strength talent, of course. For God Strength, that is. But Morphling is also almost there. And probably the waveform charges. Even more mobility.
I mean, yeah, if you want to go super all in on the mobility, I suppose so.
Either way. Okay, 25 of Leshrac, though, first, the Diabolic Edict. Usually do see that. Over the slow from the Lightning Storm. Okay, BKB just finished by Sven. This is kind of crazy, because his static resistance is absurd, and then he also has a BKB on top of that now.
Yeah, I don't like this at all, actually. I think that's a big tell that he's not feeling comfortable with this game, because he's scared of the Morphling Burst at this point. You know, you have so much, you've gone all in on status resistance, and to have to go back for BKB after all of that, I mean, granted, both the SNY and the Satanic are great items on Sven, even if they didn't have status resistance, so it's not that big of a deal. But it kind of seems like you maybe would rather go for something like an AC or even, you know, like a Bloodthorn. He has the data list, so maybe not the Bloodthorn, but, you know, something to make him more tanky so he can actually just straight up man fight.
Yeah, I'm sitting here trying to think, and to his credit, I think it is more of a just damage reduction BKB than it is crowd control. So, and as we've been mentioning, I mean, the heavy burst, it is a lot of magic damage coming out. So, I think the Aeon Disc, by the way, gets popped there for Tavo. Storm Spirit comes in. Storm, ooh, this is a close call. He's out of mana. Yeah, he needs to pop his BKB, and all of a sudden we're going to be fighting. Counterstun and the Global Silence coming out, though.
Debated.
See the Guardian Greaves, is it? Or Miracle manning up with the Satanic on top of the Blade Mail. He's just cutting right through it. Silencer did get picked off, so does Timbersaw. Silencer bought back, but now Bleak, he's by himself. Morphling, his own BKB is going to be wearing off. He's caught in no man's land. He's out for 100 seconds, no buyback, and just like that, it actually could be it for Complexity.
He just debated himself. That was really unfortunate. It looked like it was actually going to be okay. They almost bursted the Sven to start the fight, but Bleak just caught out of nowhere. This entire team backed, and he was still in the middle of things. That is a disastrous moment for Old Suck. In a game that looked like it was starting to turn in their direction.
It really was. Behind that Morphling being the carry, but without Morphling now, it just doesn't feel like they're going to have enough firepower to hold this. They do have the Storm Spirit constantly going through, but he's not level 25, so it's not as effective as it could be. And that means the racks are going to start melting away here at the bottom lane now. But you can see Complexity, this goes back to that mentality, the pressure, knowing what's on the line, how they need to win out today.
Yeah, and they don't know that he doesn't have buyback. They assume he probably does, because no way would their most important hero not have buyback in such a critical moment. So they're scared to have him buyback and then not be able to get out of the fight.
It is a gold buyback. So BKB on Storm as he flies through. They do take out the melee rack zone. By now you got to figure, okay, he doesn't have it. But either way, Storm Spirit zip-zapping around. He's going to make his way back to the base as Timbersaw is caught by the Hex, and Lotus Orb is only going to do so much. He ends up going down. You hear the Mega Creep Horn spawning. And Complexity going cutthroat now. 15 more seconds for Morphling. They're just going to start going for tier 4 at this point, because why stop now, of course. Storm Spirit continues to do what he can, just zipping in, zipping out. And, I mean, it's not going to be over yet. Morphling is up in a couple of seconds. Sand King's also up, which is important. Needs to be able to morph into him. As he does that, jeez, that range stun. He gets the hit initially. Sven dropping, but no, Satanic. And now he's man-moding as expected. Meanwhile, Sand King himself, he tried with the epicenter, but he gets Yule's on up and eventually killed off after. Storm Spirit zip-zapping through. Morphling is caught. Now that's the Sand King himself, actually. This Morphling over here is caught. And the Finger of Death to finish it.
Putting them down, Miracle says, I want this game to be over. It's gone on for too long.
Yeah. So Complexity almost got a little nervous there, I'm sure, but they do come through, and they get the W in the end. Well played. Really wasn't well played overall from them. It's just closing it out did continue to be the issue, but they do come out on the winning spot here. So they're now 2-3. Keep their hopes alive, moving on to the top 4 at least. As far as OSG, they are out of it. They are 0-5, which again means no chance. But they got 2 more games to play, hopefully for their sake and for the tournament's sake. You know, they still give it their all. We'll see.
Yeah, show up for your games, boys.
That would be nice, yeah, wouldn't it? No, I'm sure they will for at least a couple. In fact, hell, the European region, I know one of those teams actually had a bit of an upset. I think it was 6-8-2. They were already out of it, yet they ended up getting a win that caused a lot of chaos over there despite that. So, hey, play for pride. Why not? See what can happen if you're OSG. We've certainly seen glimpses of them looking pretty good and can compete, so. But Complexity, you know, a sigh of relief once again, but there's still plenty of work to be done. They have 2 more games. They need to win both of them. In fact, who do they play? Let's see. They play Kookaburra. That'll be their next one, and then Black Sheep. So, again, obviously 2 very difficult matches. They got to win out to feel comfortable about moving on. Can they do it? That'll be later on today. Anything else before we wrap up going to the break?
No, give me more Dota. Give me more Dota.
I agree. And we actually got a really good one coming up. Speaking of those 2 teams, we got Black Sheep versus Kookaburra. That'll be happening next here on the stream. So that should be an awesome one as well. Going to get that set up and going. The TI9 North American qualifying action as I'm BreakyCPK, joined by Elevated. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back.